Hi, everybody, and good afternoon. Happy Friday. Welcome to Big Blue Kickoff Live right here on Giants.com and the Giants mobile app. Schmeelk, Dottino, you on the phones at 201-939-4513. Get in. We'll get you on the air right here on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Today's topic, folks, and we kind of did this with Lance at the end of Wednesday's show, so I'm going to be a little repetitive with my points, so if you listen to the end of Wednesday's show, I apologize, but I think we have a lot of new listeners on every show, so I'll kind of repeat some of the stuff I brought up at the end of Wednesday. We'll get a new perspective from Paul talking about where the Giants and Daniel Jones are looking to focus on this season to kind of take that next step for him as a quarterback and the Giants, I guess, kind of offense in general, too. So, Paul, how are you?
Good to see you again, John.
I feel like we haven't been on a show together in quite a while.
It does seem like it's been a bit, but, unfortunately, the Knicks are no longer alive, which we were very upset about, but we move on. And hopefully their resurgence this year will continue into the following season.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, Paul, let's start the Daniel Jones thing. All right?
Yeah.
So I kind of gave my spiel, so I'm going to leave it open to you first. You can lead, and then I'll follow on this. Your areas where you think Daniel Jones can take the next step in his progression, and where you'd like to see him take the next step in his progression in 2023.
Yeah, just to give full disclosure to the folks out there, we knew we were doing this show today, and you had mentioned this to me yesterday that you would probably want to go there. So I thought about it, and I really came up with two things because I like a lot about what Daniel Jones does.
Yes.
My first one is, and this one isn't so much a function of him, but it's a function of the overall offense. I would like to see that deep ball that he threw so well a couple of years ago, which was effective but not used very often, be restored to the game. And
last 2 years, really, he was effective at it. They just didn't do it a lot.
Yeah, they did it more 2 years ago than even last year.
Yeah.
I want to see his deep ball game return. That, to me, is the number one thing that I want out of Daniel Jones this year. Bring back the deep ball game out more frequently, and hopefully with the same type of efficiency that he's already shown us that he can put on the field.
Can I throw you some numbers to back up your point?
Go right ahead.
All right, so I went through some of the Pro Football Focus metrics here. So this is just, Paul, pass attempts, all right? I'm throwing completions out because success rate isn't the point. The point is how many times you're trying, right?
Right.
So,
and you have to have some rate of success, otherwise trying is futile.
Yes, and his rate of success was fine. So that wasn't necessarily
we know
an
he
issue
can do
there.
it.
Correct. So pass attempts of 20-plus yards. Daniel Jones' first year in the league, 2019, and he played, 11 games that year, 12 games that year, right? 57.
Okay.
In 2020, his second year, in a full year, though we missed, I think, 4 or 5 games with injury, right? 49. Year 3, 2021. Now, he only played around 10 games that year because we missed the last month and a half with the injury. 27. Way down.
Wow.
Last year, playing every game for the first time, just 31.
Yeah.
So just 4 more than the year before, but that's playing around 6 or 7 more games.
Yeah, that's...
So you got to get to more than that.
Well, as you like to say all the time, and you're correct about this, more explosive plays you have, the 20-yarders, it will lead to a higher percentage of scoring.
And that's
and not just scoring, but touchdowns.
Touchdowns. That's the thing.
Right.
Touchdowns.
And you love that one, and I get it because it's true. I mean, that's part of the game. For me, it's not just the scoring of the touchdowns. It's just the overall impact, the respect that your offense commands.
Oh, that's all part of it for sure. Yeah.
So yes, the points are tangible, but the way that coordinators will approach your offense begins on Monday night when they're making that game plan. And again, if they know you've got a couple of headache players on your offense, and oh, by the way, you can hit them with the big one, that changes everything that they're talking about over dinner when they're making their game plans.
100%. All right. Agree? What's your number 2?
My number 2 is going to be something that you're gonna laugh at this one because these were the two that were just so cut out for me.
Run less.
No, it's not just run less. It's learn how to A, fold up when you get hit.
Okay.
And B, when you're going forward, slide.
Pick your spots and be more judicious in terms of trying to gain the extra yard.
That's another way of saying it.
Okay.
I would like to see, and look, I get it. Daniel Jones was healthy last year. He did not miss a game due to injury last season. He got knocked out of a game, but He did not miss a full week's of worth of games because of an injury. So obviously he's doing better with it, but he's still, in my mind, he's still a little too risky for me. I know he's going to still run the ball. That's more game plan, though. That's not so much about it's going into the game saying, all right, we are going to reduce the amount of runs because we have so many other weapons that can get the yardage. For me,
well, it's also what they're telling him to do, right?
No doubt.
The coaches will be like, look, Daniel, don't check it down. Run the ball. Like, if you get back there, you look at your first two options and nothing's there, we want you to run it. And frankly, I think that's what they told him last year based on the way he played.
There's no doubt. But there should be an additional instruction to that. And that is, get down.
All right.
Run the ball and get down.
Just to give fans an idea, I tracked this too because I thought you might give an answer like that.
You knew where I was going.
In terms of number of scrambles on pass plays, that means times you run on a pass drop back, right? So his first year, 2019, he had 28. His second year, 2020, he had 23. In his third year, 2021, he had 27. So all pretty consistent.
Okay.
Take a gather how many he had in 2022.
This past year.
So he had 28, 23, and 27. How many did he have in 2022?
42.
66.
Was it that many?
Almost triple from what he's had in any other year in his career. Wow. And by the way, it's not like his sacks went down. Just, I didn't write all those down, but this number of sacks he takes didn't exactly dip. So
there were at least a handful of times last year, and you may also concur or maybe not, where I'm sitting there either in the box or on the field, and he gets whacked at the end of one of those scrambles. And I'm like, dude, get up, get up, get up.
Absolutely.
Right? I don't need to go through that again.
Now, if it's like a huge third down play, I get it.
There will be some of those. But it's football.
But if it's 2nd and 12 and there's a difference between getting 8 yards and 5 yards,
get down.
Take the 5 yards.
Get down.
Right. With you, 100%. All right.
Okay.
I'm going to throw a couple of things at you, too.
Okay.
All right?
Sure.
That is the first.
You knew where I was going.
Largely what I talked about on Wednesday.
Okay.
But I'm going to get a little more nuance to it here, okay? And we've talked about this before. So these are all kind of interconnected, so I'm going to throw it all at you, and then you can kind of react the way you want. Daniel Jones's big-time throw rate. Pro Football Focus tracks big-time throws, right? So instead of giving you total number, they have rate. So it's number of big-time throws per attempt, right?
Okay.
Per pass
and
attempt.
big time is defined as what exactly?
It's nebulous. You look at it and you
Okay.
decide, tight coverage, deep down the field. Depth of target is a big part of that. So throwing down the field more will create a lot more big-time throws because you're throwing it down the field.
Okay.
But remember, it's the same ranking system for all these years. So it's going to be the criteria is going to be identical from year to year.
Okay.
So I'm not comparing him to the rest of the league. I'm comparing him to himself.
Right.
Okay? So 2019, 4.1% big-time throw rate, which is pretty good. Year 2, 5% big-time throw rate. Pretty good.
Okay.
Year 3, 1.8% big-time throw rate. Year 4, 1.4% big-time throw rate. So I'd like to see caution be thrown to the wind a little bit more. I think he's grown enough and he's been in the league enough now where you can maybe trust his judgment a little bit and tell Daniel, look, if you think you see something down the field, let it loose. And you know what? If it's a pick, we'll pull you back. I'd rather have them go be a little bit more aggressive here. And if a bad thing happens, we'll pull you back again, all right? And we'll fix the problem. But this goes back to 2 other numbers that I think are important, okay, that I'm going to throw at you. One, average depth of target. And this has to do with deep shots, but also just being more aggressive down the field in the intermediate areas.
And that's a regular number that's available. Depth of target is not a PFF number.
Yes.
That's a regular number.
I did pull this off of PFF, but yes, this is something that's available every year. So, first year in the league, 8.5. Really good number.
I know where you're going.
Year number 2 in the league, 8.2. Really good number. Year 3 in the league, 7.4. Not good, but middle-ish.
Acceptable.
This past year, 6.6.
Yeah. You never want that to start with a 6.
And if you look at True Media, which kind of is the metrics that the NFL and inside the teams use, lowest in the league last year.
You never want the number to start with a 6. That's not good.
And the other way this kind of gets reflected here, Paul, which I think is interesting, you look at Pro Football Focus tracks, and I kind of like this number because I think it's interesting.
Okay.
They track the percentage of a time a quarterback will throw it past the first down marker or throw it before the first down marker.
Mm-hmm.
So that shows how aggressive you're being in terms of trying to get first downs, right? So, again, this is Daniel Jones through the course of his career.
Okay.
Year one, 56.6% of his passes were, hold on, let me make sure I have this right here. We want to go short of the sticks.
This number's going to go,
So
short of the sticks, this number's going to go up significantly.
Yeah, so short of the sticks, Daniel Jones in his first year, only 48.9% of his passes went before the sticks. Year two, it went up to 53.6%. Year three, 53.3%, so it stayed steady.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, it jumped all the way up to 56.6% of his passes went before the sticks.
I'm not surprised.
And to the point, you look at what percent of his yards or air yards versus run after the catch yards, right? 2022, only 48% of his passing yards were air yards. His other 3 years, 54, 62, 54. So it's a lot of just stuff thrown short of the sticks, rely on run after catch. And I think you have to try to, and again, I think this is related, and I understand why the coaching staff did this, and I think it made sense based on what was here last year, by the way. I'm not criticizing the coaches for this.
Personnel-driven, John.
And we talked about that 2 years ago when everyone yelled about Jason Garrett and not throwing the ball down the field as much. Well, it's funny how no one complained last year when they threw the ball down the field actually less than they did the year before, but the offense was successful.
Right.
But because they're still working under the same constrictions of pass protection and quality of receiver, right? So I think now that you have more speed at receiver, you hope the offensive line continues to creep up towards average. Maybe Josh Azudu wins the job. He gets better. John Michael Schmitz comes in and is an improvement. Maybe Evan Neal gets a lot better in year number two. I think that's really the most important one of those three that you want to pick out. That's the one you zero in on. That will allow these numbers to improve. Because, again, if you look where Brian Daboll come from, you look where Mike Kafka came from, they threw the ball down the field. This is not something that these coaches want to do. This is the way for them, I think, to get the best out of this offense and this quarterback based on what's going on around him. So I'd like to see those numbers, more air yards, average depth of target, throwing past the sticks more. And if you look at his third down passing last year, Paul, was not great. His third down scrambling and running, phenomenal.
Correct.
Great. His third down passing, might have been the worst of his career, to be honest with you.
I'm aware.
So you put, and I think all those are interrelated, right? I think all of those are related to each other. So if you can get those numbers going up, I think that's where Daniel overall production will go up. His yards will go up. His touchdowns will go up. And the Giants, in the end, their offense will be better. Can he do it? Can the things going on around him improve enough to allow him to do it? So as much as the deep shots, just being generally more aggressive in your passing attack, I think would help him and the Giants a lot to kind of pump that offense up to the 24-point per game land, which is kind of where you want to get to. They were, they went from like 17 to 20 last year. Can you get up to 24 now? That's kind of where you want to wind up.
Yep. I think what you're talking about, John, are ways to effectively, and I'm going to broad brush it a little bit and make a little bit more of a general statement, but you're talking about the little idiosyncrasies that will get you there. The Giants, because of their lack of deep ball game, and that's what I'll just call it, deep ball game, you've got defenses playing them a certain way, which then inhibits what you want to do or what you think you can do to enhance your chances to win.
Yeah, everything's constricted.
Okay? Then on top of that, you've got skill sets for your skill position players, which also says, you know what? We can't defy and dare those people to come out of it because we don't have the ability to beat it any other way. We have to play it this way to win. So what does that do? It comes directly back to the quarterback, and in those specific statistics, you will see how he gets hurt. I think the other thing that's very important, in addition to not having the deep ball game, which again, it happened for a variety of reasons, and this is another big one. Yards after the catch, to me, for the Giants, has been lacking for quite a while. This is not a new story around here. Yards after the catch, they don't have enough guys who are making breakaway plays after the ball is caught. Now, part of the reason, and you know this too, John, you see a lot of zones here. All right, a lot of teams are playing a lot of zone against the Giants, which is going to eliminate some of the yards after the catch right off the bat from a philosophical standpoint. The other problem, and this goes particularly now to the tight end position, I think you're going to see a lot of Darren Waller in the passing game this year, even more so than No, but I'm talking about really emphasize
he's
him.
He's going to get 120 targets at least, and he's going to be the number one if he's healthy, and he's going to be the number one option in the passing game.
There is a very good chance he is the only guy who catches 1,000 yards in this offense this year.
Oh yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at all. 100%.
He might be the guy. It may not be Hyatt or Campbell or Slayton or any of those other guys. Waller was brought here because he's a 2-time 1,000-yard receiver, and he may wind up being a 1,000-yard receiver again. Now, how does he get it? With all due respect to the last tight ends who have been here for a decade, including Evan Ingram, who, by the way, was not great with yards after the catch and obviously had trouble with dropsies, Waller will be. That's a big deal. When you know that your tight end can make big plays either by stretching the field or by getting yards after the catch, it changes the entire complexion of your passing game for your quarterback. And I hate to say this, but look at the tight ends the Giants have had in the last decade, and I'm going to put Ingram aside for a moment. The Red Ellisons of the world, the Bellingers of the world.
Bear Pascal. Well, take your pick.
Well, he's going back even further. But in recent times, the guy they got from the 49ers a few years ago. Why am I drawing a blank?
Myrick, you're talking about?
No, not Myrick. The guy came over from the
Kyle Rudolph?
No, not Kyle Rudolph. Had no athleticism by the time he got here. The guy they got from the Niners, off of waivers from the Niners. The tight end who was here like 3-4 years ago. And people were screaming that they wanted him to be more of the passing game. He only averaged 9 yards a catch. Oh, my goodness. I can't believe I'm drawing a blank. But the point is that all of these tight ends, and quite frankly, even Ingram, would catch the ball, and that's it. There was no yak yardage. So not only do you have the ability to stretch the field.
Caden Smith?
Bingo.
Okay.
Caden Smith.
Boy, there were a lot of names in those years that I just don't remember. I'm not going to lie.
Caden Smith, John, look up the stats. He did not even average 10 yards a catch.
No, he did not.
A tight end cannot average under 10 yards a catch. That's not acceptable. Well,
he actually averaged 11 yards per catch in 2021.
Yeah, on 2 catches.
Granted, only had 3 catches.
Yeah, 3 catches. For his Giants career, 3 years here, he averaged 7.9 yards per catch. That is unacceptable. Okay? You need your tight end to be able to not only get downfield to stretch the defense and to impact the defense's scheme, you also need him to be able to make plays with the ball in his hand to get you some yak yardage and actually make some plays on his own. That's why Waller is such a big deal for this team this year.
Yeah, the other guy I think is a big deal in that way is Paris Campbell. I think he is...
He can be.
Has the size and speed combination. Like, Wanda Robinson's quick. He's tiny. Sterling Shepard's banged up. Jalen Hyatt's fast, but he's tall and skinny. Paris Campbell has running back skills, right? So I think he's a guy that can help with some of that run after the catch stuff, too.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And I believe that they thought that with Wandale Robinson when they drafted him last year. Mm-hmm. They figured that Wandale, they can get him in spots where it's going to cause trouble for the defense because we'll get him in space and he's going to be able to make some yak. So the whole concept of not only stretching the field, but getting bigger plays with yak yardage with guys who are elusive enough to do something once they catch the ball, these are the 2 reasons why what you're asking for should improve.
Yeah, and by the way, getting the ball down the field more and having that threat will open up those intermediate short areas for run after the catch, too.
That's the idea.
It's all related.
That's the idea.
201-939-4513. 201-939-4513. Wow. Hey, folks, go and subscribe to the Giants Huddle podcast. It features long-form interviews with Giants players, coaches, and front office staff, past and present, plus Plus, hear from the best analysts covering Big Blue and the NFL. Search for the Giants Huddle Podcast and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, or go to giants.com/podcast. And while you're there, don't forget, if you subscribe on Apple Podcasts, please leave a 5-star positive review for all of our Giants podcasts, including Big Blue Kickoff Live. It would really help us out. In fact, even if you listen, guys, to the podcast on the Giants app and giants.com, and that's great. If you do it, that's fantastic. But if you could subscribe on the podcast platform, that really does help us in analytical ways that I won't bore you with. But if you could do that for us, just, go into your little pod. You don't have to listen to anything. Don't listen. Just go in there and click subscribe. If you want to listen on the App Store, that's fine. We welcome you. But it will help us out if you do subscribe on whatever podcast platform you have available to you. If you have multiple podcast platforms, subscribe on all of them. Boost those numbers for us. All right, let's get to the phones. 201-939-4513. Let's go to Tom in Stratford. He'll lead us off. I'm sorry. Brandon in New Jersey was up first, right, Tom? Let's go to Brandon first, and Tom, you're up next. What's going on, Brandon? How are you?
How's it going, fellas?
What's going on, Brandon?
So for me, just on your topic, the things I think Daniel Jones can improve on this year is, and it's real simple. I just want to see this offseason and training camp. I want to see him doing them Tom Brady legs. His little pregame. I don't want to see the Dak Prescott hips, but I want to see the Tom Brady legs when he's getting through his reads, 1, 2, 3, and come back through them real quick. Because especially like early on in the year, and some of this you could say is about, he's getting used to the scheme. But I thought, especially in the Cowboys game, is a prime example. It wasn't that the guys weren't open. It's just by the time he got to him, it says, "Oh, he's covered now." And so I think that's the biggest thing I think Daniel Jones can do is just work on getting through those progressions a lot quicker. And I think you can see he did get better over the years. If you said third down, he struggled. I bet you earlier in the season, if you do the breakdown, earlier in the season is when he really struggled on completions on third down. Whereas towards the end of the year, he was doing a lot better getting through those progressions. So I would like to see him just start off faster this year with getting through those progressions and getting, for that. So that's what I wanted to say on the Daniel Jones. But I had a question that has nothing to do with, kind of something to do with the Giants, but nothing to do.
Okay.
Jalen Hurts signed 5 years, $255 million, right?
Yes.
Okay. How is it possible that he's only hitting their cap for 73 through 4?
Shenanigans. That is a very, 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 and I will bring it up just to give you some of the details on it, uniquely structured contract. So, first of all, it's listed as a 5-year, $250 million contract. If I'm not mistaken, I believe there are 3 voidable years at the end of that contract that stretches out the salary to the point where it's kind of ridiculous, to be quite honest with you. I'm going to bring it up right here. Let me bring up the Hurts contract. Yeah, so I take it back. Sorry, there are 4 voidable years on the back end of that contract. And what's in that contract, Brandon, is what's called a bunch of option bonuses, which kind of takes the place of base salary. So there isn't 1 year in Jalen Hurts' contract where he has a base salary above $2 million. All of his money comes in option bonuses, which the team activates previous to that year. So it's virtually guaranteed money because of when they have to activate those options, even if it's technically not guaranteed money. And just to give you an idea, like the last year of Jalen Hurts' contract, he has a cap hit of $54 million. Oh, wait a second. But then he has another $70 million of dead cap in the next 4 years when his contract is up. So they'll be paying him, according to this contract and his option bonuses, I'll do the exact math for you, that's 60, 76, around $85 million in the 4 years after this contract is expired, which would all get accelerated into that final year of the last year of his deal. So this is a contract that's going to be reworked a lot over the course. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets reworked every single year. And the money's going to get pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. And basically, and Paul, please, if you want to jump in here and tell me I'm getting something wrong, you want to add something, go ahead.
I think you're on the right track.
You are going to get to the final 2 years of this contract. The cap hits are going to be astronomical. They're going to have to rework the deal. And the Eagles are basically placing their bet on trying to win titles in the next 3 years or so before this contract starts hitting the cap in an onerous way. And that's basically they are paying, the price down the road to have more flexibility now?
Jalen Hurts had one good year, and they're saying we are all in for the next 3, that he'll be at least as good as he was last year for the next 3 seasons.
Next 5.
At least.
Next 5.
At least. Again, I'm saying at least.
Right.
It sounds like that. It sounds like his number is really 9 years, $200 million, if that.
No, he's going to get all $255 million. Like, he's getting that money, but it's spread out over that 9 years. In fact, remember, this was added on to a year he already had. So it's really 10 years that they spread this money over the course of. Like right now, basically right now, Brandon, if you look at a salary cap table on SpotTrack, and I'm sure Paul has it on Over the Cap, he has money stretching right now into the 2032 season.
Anyway.
Here's the bottom line.
I got one.
The guy.
Absolutely. One second, Brandon.
I would simply say this to you. The guy had one good season. He did it on a team that had the most talent in the conference. And we all knew before the season that Philly had the best 53 and should go to the Super Bowl.
Now, he was I have nothing bad to say about the way he played last year.
He played well. He played well. There's no question he played well. 1 year with great circumstances, and by the way, a team that was basically healthy the whole year. They really didn't get crippled with significant injury.
No, crippled, no. He got hurt a little bit, but besides that.
Correct.
Right.
So there were a lot of circumstances that fell in their favor in addition to them having the most talented 53. So this was their year. They went all in. Didn't happen. Okay, too bad. They fumbled it away in the Super Bowl. I thought they lost that game. I didn't think the Chiefs beat them. I thought they lost it. And now they're taking a real roll of the dice here by signing him to the kind of deal that they signed him to. I think this will bode well for most of the NFC East as we move forward.
Unless he's awesome, and then it's going to bode very poorly.
He's going to have to be Tom Brady-like.
Not in the next 3 years. He doesn't have to be because his cap number is so low.
I think if he regresses, we don't know that. If he regresses, they're going to be very sorry that they did this.
Yeah, but not in the next 3 years because that numbers don't start nailing you until 2026.
Yeah, his percentage of cap is under my threshold. So yes, you're correct.
Way under your threshold for the next few years.
Yeah, yeah. But they will at some point in time. They're going to pay for this badly.
Yeah, his cap hit does not reach over $30 million until 2026.
Yes, correct.
So and by that point, the cap's probably going to be almost $300 million at that point, right? Something ridiculous like that. So that's going to be almost only 10% of the cap.
They're banking on the next 3 years of him being really good.
3 or 4 years, honestly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, Brandon. What was your final question?
That's a lot to ask.
Okay. Well, my final question, Paul may remember this question because there was a particular host that did not want anything to do with nuance and thought I was taking jabs at people. And truthfully, I was asking a kind of nuanced question that was at the wrong time, wrong place.
Okay.
So the schedule is out. Week 13 is our bye week. I said this before. I hope that Gable walks in, scrubs the word bye off of week 13 and writes the letters NYG. And the reason I was asking Paul in the first time was I was curious to know what was Bill Parcells, and I don't really too much remember. I know Tom Coughlin took the whole squad on bye week for the vacation, right? He took the whole squad to build team camaraderie. But my idea is
not on the bye week. No, Brandon.
That was in training camp.
Yeah, that was in training camp. On the bye week, they will release these guys late on Wednesday of the bye usually, or even late on Tuesday of the bye, and they're not going to show up again until Monday. So they will give those guys 5 straight days off usually during that bye week. There are no team activities. This is a chance for guys to go do their own thing, be with their families. So that's what's going to happen during the bye.
All right. That's why I was saying, like, it should just be more. I don't know about. For me, it just seems like you have all the offseason to do, and it's not a particular shots at a player. Just saying you have the whole offseason to deal with your vacations and your whatever, this and that and the third. And I think the bye week is still in the middle of the season. I think it should be really more about R&R, rest and relaxation, and really more or less let's look at the Giants. And then because like Andy Reid has this stat, but something like he was.
Brandon, I think we lost you,
Kansas
buddy.
City, I don't know if that's true. But I want the Giants to be better after the bye. Come out ready, swinging. And I know rest and relaxation, but still, let's also look at ourselves and not. And maybe it has to be for the guys, for them to just be like, you know what, I'm not coming in. I'm done. This is a week off. But I really don't think it should be a week off so much. It just should be a light work week.
And that's the way most coaches approach it.
Thank you, Brandon. Appreciate the call.
And he mentioned Parcells. To my recollection,
I don't know if that's the case, Paul. Most of these coaches let the players go.
Yeah, it's a relaxing week.
No, but he says a light work week.
Oh.
It means they're here, but...
it is a light work week because usually they're only around for 2 days.
I think his point, though, is that he wants them there every day, just not doing it.
I didn't interpret it that way.
That's how I understood it. Yes.
Okay. Well, light work week can mean a couple of different things.
Yeah, correct. Absolutely.
I'll say this. To my recollection, I'd have to go back into the rule book. I don't think the bye week came into play till 1990. Now, that was Bills' last season here, and the Giants beat the Bills in Super Bowl 25. So to Parcells' way of thinking, if you're asking me about him, he would have only experienced the bye week, I think, for 1 year. And I'll be frank with you, I don't remember any kind of special circumstances where he took anybody away or did anything special. They just went through it. But then Bill was gone after that season, and Ray Handley took over the team. So he did not have much experience with it.
I will just say this. I'm not saying this is Brian Daboll. If any coach in the NFL tried to tell their players they couldn't go home and do their own thing on their bye week,
that would not be met with welcome arms.
There would be a revolt.
Yeah.
Because, guys, look, this is just me speaking as someone that grinds through the season to a much lesser extent of the players.
We don't get beaten up.
No. We don't put as much time in. We don't get physically beaten up, but we're here every day. We travel. We do all that stuff. It's a lot of work.
Yep.
I'm going to be sitting there on November 28th or 29th after 12 weeks of regular season, after 7 or 8 weeks of training camp, whatever it is. I'm going to be dead. That is a long time to wait for the bye week.
It is.
You better damn be straight. I'm not working that Thursday or Friday. Like, it ain't happening. And you need some time away as a mental break. Now, I think having it late in the season helps you to recharge your batteries late so you're ready to go for the final 5 weeks. The question is, can you get there where those final 5 weeks are going to matter? That's where you're at. If you can get there and you put yourself in good position and then you have the late bye, Paul, I think it helps you down the stretch. I really think it does. But can you get through that 12-week grind with a lot of tough teams on your schedule where, and you looked at the schedule analysis, the Giants have the third lowest rest differential of any team in the league this year, where they have fewer days off in the games against their opponents over the course of the year. Only 2 teams are worse, the 49ers, and I forget who the other team is. But if you can get there, it helps you in the final 5 weeks. But can you put yourself in position those 12 weeks where the games are going to matter after the bye?
I talked about that with Jonathan Casillas on the show yesterday in terms of, or maybe it was last week.
I do like the late week better than the early, but than the early bye.
Yes.
By the way.
Now here's the issue, all right? Yes, you have your veterans who are desperately going to need to catch their second wind, and you hope that your team is healthy enough to get to that point so that you're not limping, so that when you get that break, your guys get that renewed sense of oxygen and then can make a push for the stretch run. That's the hope. That's what you want to happen. But on the flip, as you've just discussed, the negative, well, here's the real negative, and that is the college players. The guys who are coming in who are only a year in or rookies, they're going to hit the wall before you get to week 13. They will. That's just it's a matter of fact. I've been around a long time. Those players, by week 9 or 10 of the regular season, they are now looking for that can of spinach that Popeye used to eat before he would beat up Pluto. They need their can of spinach. And it's not coming now until week 13. That, to me, is the danger zone where you want to talk about where will the Giants have to get that extra jolt of enthusiasm, that extra push, that extra will and desire to get through the grind until you get to the break. That little stretch right there, John, and would you kindly read off the 3 games before the bye? They are against who?
At Dallas, at Washington, home versus the Patriots. 3 very physical football teams.
That, to me, if you want to circle a danger zone on the calendar, that's the danger zone. How will the Giants be mentally, emotionally, and physically prepared to face 3 very, very rough, rugged, black and blue games as they're trying to limp to their bye week? That, to me, right there, John.
I'm with you 100%.
I can't spell it out any easier.
201-939-4513. 201-939-4513. Let's go back to the phones. Tom in Stratford is back. Tom, what's up?
Happy Friday, gentlemen.
What's up?
Hi.
I'm pretty sure the first-round draft picks, their salaries are already predetermined.
Yep.
And regardless of what position they play, where you get picked determines your salary.
The slots.
Yeah, you get
the
slotted.
slots.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay. Is that not the case for the second round also?
No.
Oh. Okay.
But here's the thing.
No, I mean, it kind of is.
It kind of is. It's not officially done as part of the rookie salary cap, but it kind of is, because as people plan out the first round, they know, A, how much money they have. Each team has a rookie cap, and they know how much money they have to spend for the draft class. And as the first round is coming off the board and they know what the slots are, they just do the math.
Yeah.
And they say, okay, this is where the ballpark is for the rest of the rounds.
And all the agents know. No one in the second round is going to get more money than a player taken in the first round.
Not going to happen.
Okay.
It's never happened.
Correct.
And do they have enough money left to sign Schmitz in
Yes.
the second round?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Dexter
did all
Lawrence.
that without
Tom,
having-
let me answer your question. The Dexter Lawrence extension gave them enough money to sign their draft picks.
Yep.
Okay, so they didn't have to do anything with Leonard Williams' contract.
Not yet.
Interesting. Okay.
But remember, you need money in the spring, you need money in the summer, you need money in the fall. So I don't know if what they have left will get them through the full year. There might be more work to do down the road.
Which Joe Shane has said.
Yeah. And you could always do that with
Okay,
Saquon's contract, too. If you get that on a long-term deal, you can figure
Correct.
that out.
Okay. Well, that's all I had, guys. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Great.
Appreciate the call.
Nice week.
201-939-4513. Let's go to Doug in Glen Falls. He's up next. Hey, Doug.
Hi.
Doug.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, when you're talking about Jaden Smith, the tight end, wasn't there another tight end that started Levine or something? I can't. It was a free agent, but he was hurt a lot.
Levine
When he was with the Giants,
Toilolo,
he was
you're
a
talking
blocking
about?
Tight end.
Yeah, Levine Toilolo.
From
He
the
came over from the
Falcons.
Falcons. Yeah. He got hurt. Was it his first?
Yeah, but he was a blocking
Yeah,
tight
he was a
end.
blocker.
He was not
Correct.
going to catch a lot of passes anyway, even if he was healthy.
Right.
Well, was he there the same time that Jaden Smith was there or not?
Maybe a year.
Might have overlapped by
Maybe a year.
Maybe.
But he was hurt a lot when he was with us, right?
Well, again, he was not a receiving tight end. He was strictly an extra blocker whenever he was going to play, so it really wouldn't make much difference.
Oh, okay. So the thing with the other gentleman asked about John Michael Smith, so there is more negotiating once you get into the second round and up a little bit.
No, not really. All this. This is why I never open these shows with the Giants signed this draft pick, because it's all going to happen. Like, this is like the only thing that usually gets negotiated is timing of payments over the course of the contract in terms of year-to-year bonuses, salary, how it's structured that way. Incentives sometimes, and also what's called I can't think of the word. When if the guy gets cut, not deferment, another team signs him, but then you don't have to pay
bonuses?
him. No, not
I know what you mean, and I don't know what it's called.
I can't remember the damn term for it
I know
now.
what you mean.
Yeah,
There is
so
an official
basically-
name for
So
it.
and this is why Joey Bosa ended up holding out for the Chargers when he got drafted. Basically, what you put into a contract is that if you cut a player on his rookie deal, but then he signs somewhere else, the team that cut him doesn't have to pay that player whatever the new team pays the player. It kind of gets offsets. That's what it's called.
Yes, it is.
Yes,
offset
they're called
contract.
offsets. So
you're right.
It's basically money offsets
Offset.
at the end of these contracts. That's also something that'll often get negotiated, which is basically if you cut the player and the other team ends up paying him, you're off the hook for whatever the other team is paying him.
Right.
Players don't like having those offsets in their contracts because they want to double dip. They want to get paid by the
course.
old team and then get paid by their new team
course.
too.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So there are
Yeah.
little idiosyncrasies, that's all.
Uh-huh.
But they pretty much know what they're going to get. We
Hello?
lost him? All
No,
right.
I'm still
Doug?
here.
Okay.
Oh.
Doug, you got anything else for us?
No, that's pretty much it. Thanks.
All right, good stuff. Appreciate the call. He had tight ends on the list, but I guess he just wanted to talk about offsets. So I guess he wanted to have the.
Well, he had
the
Toilolo.
Toilolo. Let me see.
Toilolo.
So he wasn't on the 2021 team, Toilolo. He might have been on the roster, but he didn't have any. Oh yeah. So Toilolo did play 16 games for the Giants in 2020. That was also the year that Caden Smith was here.
Yeah.
Boy, after you brought him up, I remembered Caden Smith. I had no recollection of Caden Smith on the Giants. Not once you mentioned, I remembered it, but it's just not one of those names that came top of mind.
The very, very short yardage safety outlet, dump it off when you're in trouble.
Yeah. No, I remember him now. We talked about him a lot on the show when he was here, but he was just so inconsequential.
Good guy, too.
Oh, yeah, no, I love
But
Caden. Was
but
awesome.
again, I mean, and there were people who wanted him to become more a part of the passing game
Yeah.
because he showed that he could catch the ball. Yeah, but the problem was, A, he wasn't going to get deep. B, he wasn't going to get separation. C, he was not going to get yak yardage.
The 2023 NFL schedule is officially released and out, and that means single-game tickets are on sale right now. Don't miss the Giants at MetLife Stadium this season. Visit Giants.com/tickets to secure your seat today. Limited inventory is available. And while you're online, folks, go download the Giants official connected TV streaming app, Giants TV. It brings original video content and game highlights on demand and direct to Big Blue fans. Giants TV is free on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and the Giants mobile app. 201-939-4513. Roy in Charleston's up next. Hey, Roy.
Hey guys, how are y'all doing?
Hi.
We're good, Roy. What's up?
Good. Hey, your draft coverage was just phenomenal. Thanks. You know, I don't follow college ball, but it was a little bit of information overload, but it was spectacular. Thank you for
Overload?
doing that for
Yeah,
us.
no, look, I admit sometimes we maybe tried to do too much, but I always think if people can choose not to listen if they want, I like to put out as much good content as I can.
We appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
I
Thank you.
listen to you every day. So, two things real quick. First thing I was going to ask Paul, ask you, John, and Paul. Did Paul give his strength of position 1 through 10?
No,
Did he
he
do
does.
that?
He does have that on a sheet of paper in front of him. We have 2 more calls up, and I will have Paul give that to me after we're done with the calls.
Yeah, he asked me about this yesterday, and I did jot it down.
But we had 3 calls
Okay.
on the line after our Daniel Jones discussion. I want to make sure we got to them first.
Great, because I wanted to also talk about Danny. Paul and you and I are both very fond of the over-the-shoulder, the back shoulder pass.
Yeah,
Who do you
but
think is
I
gonna be-
got to admit, it's gone. It's extinct, and I don't think we're going to see it anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be a big thing that this coaching staff
No,
likes to do.
it's not part of their game.
No?
It's not part of their
Okay.
game. It's just not. And look, again, it's between that and the seam pass to the tight end. Now, maybe Waller might bring that back.
That I think.
I'm
can come
hoping.
back.
I'm hoping Waller with the seam pass is something we're going to see a lot of this year.
I think more deep crossers and overs with him than seams, but I think how many times did the Chiefs use Travis Kelce on seam routes? So trust me, I think.
I hope so. But I'm giving up on the back shoulder throw. I've been begging for it for
Okay.
years. I've given up.
Roy, you should have seen how disappointed Paul was. Was it Mike Groh you went up to, and Paul's like, Mike, I love that back shoulder catch. It's the best. And he's like, yeah, nah, I don't really like it at all. Paul walks back to the table, shoulders slumped, like, Johnny said he doesn't like the back shoulder pass.
Some people like green grapes, and some people like red-purple grapes.
I like the red-purple grapes myself.
And I like the green grapes. And that's
you do.
it. What are you going to do?
I'm with you, Paul. I'd be sad too. And then the last thing I want to finish up is, so Paul, I don't know if John told you about this. They had a big conversation about VCRs and TVs yesterday.
On Wednesday,
And-
yes.
It's been
Yeah,
tweeted to me. I do not own a
Okay.
big black and white TV with antennas on the top.
No. But
Okay.
do you have any TV that has rabbit ears on it?
No.
Okay, very good. Do you have any? You must have TVs though that have like the big backs though that aren't flat screens, right?
No.
Really, all your TVs are flat screens?
Yes.
I'm gonna shake your hand, sir.
I responded to
20.
the
Well done.
gentleman on Twitter who told me about this call. I fired back
Okay.
to him. I do not have any of those TVs, but I do still listen to my handheld portable transistor Sony
We also
radio.
debated whether you had a TV
Okay.
that does
Okay.
not have a remote control in the house, where you have to get up and change the dial.
No. Come on, please.
Okay.
The good, but
So
but
I'll
but
tell you
but
this.
but I tell you, most people now, right? They listen to radio either in their cars or they listen on like their little pod thing or whatever, right? I still listen to
Phone.
radio.
It's called the phone.
All right.
Yes.
I listen to
Yep,
AM radio. All right. I don't listen to FM that much, but I do listen to AM radio, and of course I listen to Sirius in the car.
Yes. So now I actually do have an old radio too. It isn't a transistor one with the battery in it, but it is like a one you plug in because you can't stream the Yankee game. So if I want to listen to the Yankee game on the radio, if I'm cooking or I'm outside, you actually do have to have a physical radio for that. That is true. It's true.
Okay.
Nice.
So, but I got to tell you the story real quick. Okay, so I'm 62 in July. So in 1972, I'm 11 years old, and my dad. I'm living in Manhattan. I grew up on the Upper West Side, 97th and Broadway. My dad, he delivered oil 9 months out of the year. He worked for the Teamsters, so he delivered fuel oil. He walked in the door. He walked in the door with this 21-inch Zenith color television console. Now, it was the TV. It had the turntable, AM/FM shortwave radio. It was a big hunking piece of machinery, and it had a remote with 3 buttons on it. No, 4 buttons: on, off, channel up, channel down. That was it.
No volume?
No volume.
Okay.
Wow.
It was just the 4 buttons. You had to remotely do the volume. But about 10 years ago, I ran into a guy who had one of those TVs. He put a flat panel television. He put a flat panel TV where the tube used to be. The phonograph worked. The radio worked. The speakers worked. It was. But here's the cool thing. So half of it, this guy had half
That's
of it
cool.
was a bar. Okay. You know, you open the left side or the right side. I can't remember. You open the left side.
So
and
it was a
the
console.
turntable.
It was a console, is
Yes,
what it was.
It was a big hunking console. So half of it had the turntable and the radio and the little slot there. You could put some albums in it. But the other side had a bar. Let me tell you,
It's pretty
Paul,
good.
I drooled over this beautiful, and it was in pristine condition. So anyway, I just wanted to share that to you because growing up in Manhattan with old school TVs and stuff, I thought you'd get a kick out of that. But
That's
good
great.
to hear that Paul is actually. It's good to hear that Paul's got some flat panels and
I know.
rapid ears.
Very good. Thank you, Roy.
Listen, I appreciate your content, guys, and I give a shout out to Tim in Charleston. Y'all have a great weekend. God bless.
All right.
You too now.
You have a good weekend too. Yeah, we had a dry spell with the call, so I was talking about how I forgot how we got onto VHS tapes. We got into VHS tapes somehow. I was telling him how when we cleaned out my dad's house a few years ago after he passed, we found all the old like NFL films VHSs. You know, the greatest running backs of all time, greatest
Absolutely.
wide receivers
Harry
of all
Carson
time.
hosted a bunch of those for years.
So many of them. So I was just talking about it. Then we got into what a pain it was to record programs on the VCR. How you have to set the timer. That the VCR channel had to be on the right one. The TV channel had to be on the right one. It was a huge. It was just really messy in terms of how we had to do things.
And by the way, just so you folks out there know, I am not 100% Fred Flintstone. John can testify on my behalf. We do all watch games on Giants road trips on our phone. We do.
in different ways.
Yes, we do. But we do.
Yes.
Including me.
And Paul actually does it in a more complicated way than I do.
I do, but it all works.
Complicated is one way to put it.
It is.
I could put it a different
It all
way.
it all works.
But-
it all works. We're there sitting on the team bus going out of the stadium, and there we go. We got the 4:00 game on. Everybody's watching.
I don't want the FBI waiting outside the building after the show, so I won't tell them how Paul watches games on his phone. All right, let's final call of the show, and then we'll get to Paul's list. Oh, we got one more call coming. We'll take both of them.
Yeah.
Let's go to Charlie in Portland, Maine. Charlie, what's up, pal?
Hey, John. Hey, Paul.
Hey,
up?
Charlie.
Hey, I just want to let you know I do have a VCR recorder, and I also have Laserdisc.
You still have a
And,
laser disc, huh?
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
How many Laserdisc movies do you have? The people that don't know, Laserdisc was a medium for movies. Probably what, Charlie, from like 98 to 97 to
Yeah.
2000 or so, give
It
or
didn't
take.
last long.
Yeah, because then DVDs kind of took them out.
Yep.
Yeah. I got probably about 50 to 75.
Wow.
Laserdisc.
Okay. Nice.
I got the Star Wars trilogy. I got all kinds of stuff.
Nice.
And hey, tell Lance if he needs any DVDs, I can mail him some. I got some good movies. Hey, Paul, when you guys were talking about, week 13 when we hit the bye and everyone's going to be, dead pretty much. Well, that's where you got to have some depth and you got to use your rotation.
Absolutely.
You got to do that.
Yes,
you got
sir.
to do that. You can't just keep playing, Aziz and Tibbs and or Dex like 500,000 snaps.
This is 2 days in a row, Charlie, that you have made a good point.
And look, that's why they signed Nacho and Ashawn Robinson, to give those guys a break.
And they brought back O'Shane Zimenez, too, to give him some depth on the edge. Charlie, 2 days in a row. This is a personal record for you.
We're streaking. Remember, the call's not over yet.
Yes, this is true.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you were talking about Daniel Jones.
Here we go.
Right?
You're now about to go off the edge.
Charlie has built up his goodwill, and now he's going to drain it right out of the bottom of the bathtub.
No. I'm not going off yet. All I'm going to say, Paul, is when the offense was opened up for Jones under Shermer, the rookie year, he almost broke the record for turnovers in his 2 seasons. He was 1 behind Jameson Winston. So that's the danger of opening this offense up again.
Sure, but Charlie, you hope that he's gotten better and improved enough since his rookie year where that problem won't come back.
The decision-making should be a heck of a lot better.
Yes.
And it doesn't mean you have to forego the deep ball game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but all the stats that you gave, John, says that they didn't want him to do it or it wasn't allowed for him to do it. And then it comes down to, can he do it now? And that's what we're going to find out.
Absolutely. And look, thank you, Charlie.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate the call. Look, and I think the Giants coaching staff tried to make it as easy as they could on Daniel last year in terms of the types of passes he completed and stuff like that. They schemed up stuff well. Like turnover-worthy play rate. Like this is something that PFF tracks, right? They track turnover-worthy plays. So, like, batted passes wouldn't count for a turnover-worthy play. But a dropped interception would. So it's a way to balance it out. So his rookie year, he was 5.5%. His second year, it went all the way down to 3.1%.
Okay.
The following year, 2.7%. And last year, it was about flat at 3.0%. So if you're at a 3% turnover-worthy play rate, it's a good number. And he's basically been there the last 3 years.
Correct.
So, but again, if they reopen, that might go up. But you know what? Even if it goes up a little bit, but you get more big plays out of the deal, that might be a trade-off that's worth making.
It might be. It might be. And to be honest, John, you know this, I've always been a stickler for the fact that I don't think the Giant receiving core as a whole for the last X number of years has been very good at making enough contested catches.
No, and look, if you look...
Which is also an issue.
And just to give
you... And I hope these guys do a better job at that.
And just to give you an idea, like last year, Daniel Jones had a 65% completion percentage. Well, he had an adjusted completion rate, which takes out drops and things like that from the equation, was all the way up at 78%. For there to be a 13% gap between those two numbers tells you how little help Jones was getting from his wide receivers in terms of catching the football.
In fact, I'm calling up my drop chart right now, and I had the Giants for 40 drops last year. Now, I'm tough, all right? I grade drops very harshly. Because I grade them like the Parcells coaching staff.
PFF had him for 33 last year, so it's not that far off.
I'm tougher than they are, but yeah, that's not terribly.
And remember, that's just Jones, so they might have had some drops when Jones wasn't throwing the ball too.
Yeah,
so
you
might have a little bit higher from that.
I just have team drops.
Yep.
I got it all broken down, and 40 was my final number.
This is one of Paul's advanced spreadsheets that he has on his computer.
That's
too.
right.
Very technological. We've taught Paul a lot over the years.
I used to keep all those charts on pencil and paper and drawing lines, and I had to
be proud of it. Don't be sheepish.
Well, I had to go into the next century, John.
All right, let's go to Marty and Manahawk, and he'll wrap us up. Hey, Marty.
Hey guys, I had a couple of quick things, but I'm thinking about when you're talking about those big console TVs.
Yeah,
we had the one that on the left it had the phonograph, in the middle it had the television.
Yes, sir.
And then on the right side it had an 8-track tape player.
We didn't have the 8-track tape. We had the AM/FM radio though on the right side.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we had the 8-track, and my son, who was little at the time, decided that he was going to shove a corn muffin into the 8-track, thinking it was going to toast the corn muffin for him.
Oh no!
Oh, Marty, that's hilarious.
The end of that player right there. Wow.
Yeah,
my parents had an old Magnavox. What brand was that one?
I think it was a Zenith.
Zenith was another very popular company back in the day.
If you can get one of those like little vacuum attachments into the slit, you could probably get most of the crumbs out of that, right?
Ooh, I don't know.
Well, it would have been crumbs, but he jammed it in. He just took his fingers and pushed it in. It was like,
How old was he, Marty?
Oh, he was probably 3 or 4 years old.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
That'll do it.
Yeah. The other thing why I called Dominic when Dom answered is when do they start coming out with the announcements for when the training camp schedules are going to be out?
Good question. I would say, Marty, probably sometime in July, early July or late June. It's probably when that will get released. I don't know for sure. I hope by the end of the month we'll have the preseason game date and time squared away. They're still waiting to get a couple things confirmed there, because that's something you work out with your opponent in the league to make sure everything works. I think they're pretty close from what I understand, so I can't give you those dates yet. But hopefully we'll know that by the end of the month.
Oh, okay. Sounds good. All right, fellas, thanks for taking the call, and have a good weekend.
Thank you, Marty.
Be well.
Appreciate it. Paul, we only have 4 minutes. I don't want to waste your list in 4 minutes. So why don't we hold that till next week? Me and you are on again next week.
That's fine.
One day. So I think we are. If not, we'll hold it for another week down the road.
Okay.
But
I'll put it away.
Yeah, I just don't want to waste it. I figured you could have a longer conversation.
It's okay.
Than just
We
doing
probably could, because I think
so.
there'll be some interesting tangents that will come off of that list.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't want to waste the 3 minutes on that. Tomorrow, next week, by the way, folks, just FYI, it's a Memorial Day weekend, so there's no show Friday next week. So Howard's going to be with you on Tuesday, by the way. I know you guys originally did that switch. I just took myself off, and you and Howard will do Tuesday next week. Because they give us the 4 days off for Memorial Day weekend. So we won't have a show the Friday or the following Monday for Memorial Day, which I believe is that weekend, correct, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, the Monday after, yes.
Yes, so we won't have a show that Friday or Monday, and then, we'll start doing our opponent previews. We'll do our over-unders. We'll do our predictions, and we'll do all that in June and July as we kind of get ready for the season, which is always fun.
Oh, yeah. We told you yesterday, just to remind you, in case you did not listen to the show, OTAs begin on Monday.
Yep.
Coming up right after this week.
You got about 3 a week for the next 4 weeks, and then you have mini camp.
And so you'll see a lot of 7-on-7s. Remember, no contact.
Yep.
No contact.
And that means not even like press coverage, not just at the line. No
There's
contact.
no jams.
Correct.
There's nothing. None of that stuff. But at least we'll get a chance to see some of the skill position guys go out there and run some routes, and hopefully, we'll see some speed, and we'll see some jukeability and that kind of stuff.
Which, by the way, I think it'll be interesting to see how Deonte Banks does in off coverage, which is something we didn't see him do a lot last year on tape.
No. I don't know how much Wink will want him to play, but it's good to get a look at it now.
Interesting, and I'll plug it again. If you go to the Giants Huddle podcast, I think it's pinned to the top of my Twitter feed right now. Lance and I talked to Mike Loxley, the Maryland head coach.
Right.
And I didn't realize this. It's probably my bad. I only watched his 2021 tape, right? I didn't go back and watch 2020 or I only watched his 2022 tape. I didn't watch 2020 or 2021. They had 3 different defensive coordinators, and their first 2 coordinators played a lot of zone and off, according to the head coach.
I did not watch that either.
He says he has a ton of experience in 3 very different types of coverage. Now, he played his best in press man. That's what you want him in.
Yes, he did.
But he does have experience doing those other things. He said 1 year was a Lovie Smith style, cover 2 zone. The other one was off coverage too. So he does have a lot more experience playing different covers than just what we saw in that final year at Maryland.
The one thing that impressed me very much about him, especially when he got here,
his long answers to questions.
John's joking. He doesn't say much.
No, by the way, Loxley, we didn't even ask him about it. We said, what is he like off the field? He goes, well, just be warned. He gives very short answers to questions. And we're like, we know.
But what I love about the kid, you could tell he takes his craft very seriously.
Yes. And he went back, and Coach also told us that he's back there getting his degree.
Yes.
He's back in the library working, like not even being bugged to do it. When other kids like check out, he's back there grinding.
I did not watch the interview, but I read it because either Dan or Matt upstairs did an article with transpositions of all the quotes.
Very good.
They wrote something off of it.
Good stuff.
And that's where I read. Oh, it was very good. It was very good. I didn't watch it, but I read about it. And, the thing about Banks, and we talked about this yesterday too, John, Len called up and was very upset and said, you know what? If the first 3 draft picks don't start opening day, it's a failure. And Jonathan and I had to pull him back because what if you start week 2 and then start the rest of the year?
Yeah,
B, what if you play 50 snaps in week 1, but you didn't play the first snap and you didn't start?
Yeah,
he was
I
all
agree with
caught
all
up
that.
in the nomenclature
of starting.
of They've got to start.
Especially a wide receiver, Paul. I think they're going to rotate these guys a lot. So
I agree.
I mean, I'd be surprised if Banks and Schmitz were not majority snap players in week 1.
I think, as I said yesterday,
Assuming health, of course.
assuming everybody's healthy, I think you would like to see Schmitz and Banks win those jobs right out of the box. But, John, as we both said on yesterday's show with Jonathan, if for some reason the rookie's learning curve is not as such that you can feel comfortable with putting him in the playbook in week number 1, if you got to wait 2 or 3 weeks, it's okay. It's perfectly okay if you have to.
If they don't start week 1, you should just cut them and give up. It's over.
That's what Len wants to
Whoever
do.
doesn't start week 1, I think I'm
Len
just gonna,
says it's a failure. So you might as well just cut him.
I give up.
That's it. That's it.
You're not ready week 1. That's my rule. If you can't start week 1 as a rookie, you're off my team.
Offer them practice squad. Offer them practice squad. That's it. Take it or leave it.
I'm just joking, obviously.
No, but I mean, seriously, I think there is a really good chance. Schmitz has the best chance of any of the 3 of starting week 1. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree with that.
He's got to beat Bredesen. That's his competition.
I agree.
Bredeson's his competition.
Yeah.
Banks, they got a bunch of guys over there with different levels of experience, with different levels of snap count.
None with a ton of experience.
No, and with different levels of injury concerns. So Banks has a better chance than Schmitz does of starting week 1.
All right. I know we got to go.
I mean, Schmitz has a better chance than Banks.
Who has the biggest threat to Banks starting over him in week 1?
Wow. Because of the health concerns, it's a tough question. But I'm going to go Aaron Robinson.
I have 2 names in my back pocket. Oh, and Aaron Robinson's not one of them.
Okay.
I think it's McLeod. He started then last year.
He did some.
He's the incumbent.
He did some.
He started over all these other guys.
Yeah, he did
The
some.
other one is the other new guy, Oruware from Detroit. Those are the 2 names that I have my eye on. I mean, is Robinson going to be ready?
I think so, but I don't know that.
Yeah.
Again, I'm big on Aaron Robinson, but his hurdle is health.
Yeah.
I think he has the ability to do it, but his hurdle is health.
Same for
Flott.
Flott.
Flott's got the same issue.
Yeah, the tiny guy from last year.
You know, they've got numbers over there. We just don't know who the guy's going to be, but they have numbers.
Paul, enjoy your weekend.
Yeah, it's been good. You
Lance
too.
and Paul on Monday on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Have a great weekend, everybody. And don't forget, if you want to become a Giants season ticket member, you can take your fan to the next level with a season ticket membership. You stay connected to the club all year round, not just on game days. Memberships are now available for the 2023 season. To learn more about all the exclusive member benefits, visit Giants.com/tickets. Limited inventory is available. We'll see you next time, everybody.